Now, in its 11th year, this is GabNet. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Oh, yeah. Hey, everybody. This is Alex, and this is live from Harlem. Yeah, it's the Ramble. Okay. Out to California we go, ladies and gentlemen. His name is Larry Bubbles Brown. He is a stand-up comic who is getting to hate stand-up, you said last time we talked to you?
Just bored with it.
Why are you bored with it?
I don't know. I just I'd like a new act. Somebody said you could actually, I might try this. You can put your act through AI, and they might give it a better flow or something. Is that possible?
I think your act is perfect.
Yeah, I just don't like the order of it. I look at all these jokes and I don't know where to put them.
Can you change the order?
I'm trying to do that, but it's very frustrating. I don't know how to do it.
Why is that frustrating? Why is not being able...
I'm not good at composing, I guess. I got to run it through, what's it called, Grok?
Grok or AI? What do you want? What do you expect AI to do for you?
Maybe it'll give it a nice new order. I don't know.
Nice new order.
Yeah.
One day we could get on the phone and I could sit here with AI and I don't know, ask it to rewrite your act.
Yeah.
I don't see. The thing is, do you do it in the same order every time?
Pretty much, and I was just sick of it, and I want to.
Because a lot of comics I know, Slayton is a good example. I don't think does everything in the same order every time.
No, he's great at that. He can always start like where he was in the middle of last time.
But what it is more than that. Okay, just to be make it make sense here. Bobby always felt out his audience as he was going along. And then he would bounce around to different material based on what he perceived the audience was. Do you do that at all?
No, I don't know how to read a crowd.
So you've got it set in stone. I mean, this joke is the first joke, and this is the second joke, and this is the third joke.
Pretty much, yeah.
Really? First joke always is...
Someone stole my identity.
Yep. Great way to start.
It's not a bad opening line.
It's a great opening line because it establishes you.
Yeah, it establishes the character right off the bat.
Yeah. Somebody stole my identity, and now they have no life. See, and that sets up, that's all of what Larry Bubbles Brown is. And then you move from there. A lot of comedians have to spend the first 5 minutes of their act establishing who they are to the audience. Because sometimes you're playing to an audience that never saw you before.
Many times, yeah.
And so you have to, am I right? You have to, in the first 5 minutes, establish who you are. Well, you establish it in the first minute. That's good.
Which is good if you're doing a short set on TV. Isn't it?
Oh, especially that's what you did on Letterman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Letterman, I loved you on Letterman. I just, I always said it's a shame you never went back on.
Well, two is enough.
Well, because you were really good. I mean, the last time you were on, didn't they say good things about it?
They did, yeah.
Yeah. I mean...
Letterman actually talked to me, which his staff was shocked.
What do you mean, after the show?
Yes, we're standing behind the curtain, and suddenly he starts talking to me, and I was kind of caught me off guard. And then when I went back to the green room, his entire staff said, "Oh my God, he doesn't do that to anybody. He was talking to you."
So he talked to you before you went on?
No, after.
Oh, after you went on?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's, in the old days, it used to be that Carson would call you over to sit on the couch. That was the equivalent.
Yeah, you were annoyed if that happened, yeah.
Yeah, well, you were kind of annoyed by him talking to you. Apparently, he liked what you did.
Yeah, well, I later talked to the guy that booked the show, Eddie Brill, and he said that I reminded him of his old friend and comic. What was his name? He died.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to remember too. Yeah, he. In fact, he was very loyal to those people.
In fact, that guy had gotten sick, and Letterman paid all his hospital bills.
Yeah, he was loyal to all the people he was with at the Comedy Store. And for instance, what's his name? The black comic who was my engineer at WMCA. Jimmy Walker. Very loyal to him. Would have him on once a year. He had all those. There were about 4 of them. There was 2 black comics, one of which was Jimmy Walker, and the other one was
John Witherspoon.
John Witherspoon. He used to have him on every year, and then he would have the guy on you said that died, and I'm trying to remember what his name was. And there was a 4th one, and they were always guaranteed that every year they could get a shot on Letterman.
Oh, he had that guy. The other guy was he had a horrible TV show that lasted a month called Pink Lady and
the Pink Lady and Jeff
Altman.
Jeff Altman. Yeah,
who was funny, but yeah, he had him on too. Yeah, so he was loyal to his old friends.
Yeah, but he didn't. But what he didn't do is he didn't have them sit down and talk. Most of them,
right?
He would just have them on because, hey, thank you for being there for me. As a matter of fact, Jimmy Walker was one of his early writers, comedy writers, when he was doing comedy at the Comedy Store. A lot of people had people write acts for them. I know in the beginning, Slayton had somebody writing his act. And Jimmy Walker was one of the writers. So not on the TV shows, but in his private life. So,
but Jimmy Walker worked on your show.
He was my engineer. We used to have an engineer who would run the microphones and anything else that we needed played, while I sat in the studio just doing my show, and he was my engineer. And he used to say to me, hey, listen, I'm doing some comedy down at the comedy club here, this comedy club or that comedy club. Why don't you come see me? And I'd say, okay, I'll try and get down there. But I never went. One of the reasons I never went was I never perceived this guy could be funny. And I didn't want to go see him work and then have to say to him, it was okay. I'm too honest to lie about that, okay? So you can take it to the bank, Bubs, when I say you're funny,
yeah,
okay?
That's good to know.
But I couldn't lie to him, so I never went to see him perform. And then all of a sudden, one night I'm watching TV, and there's Jimmy Walker on Good Times or whatever. And I'm going,
that show was huge.
I said, my God, and he was huge.
Oh, my God, yeah. He was, I worked with him. He's a really nice guy.
A great guy. But all I had to say was dynamite, and everybody, the whole house would go crazy.
I know. That's...
and that's a terrible thing to have to live with, So
just imagine, that was when there was 3 networks, no cable or internet, and the audiences those shows were getting were huge.
Huge. So anyway, he worked with Letterman, and Letterman was always loyal to him, And I interviewed Jimmy a few years ago, and he started revealing all kinds of stories about me I didn't know.
Really?
Yes.
Love to hear that.
Yeah, but it was a nice interview. We enjoyed each other, and I always liked Jimmy, But I never thought that I couldn't see how he was a comedian, But he soon left as an engineer at WMCA and went into comedy full time. So
well, he's still working.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that he really had no TV after that show for some reason. But
he didn't have a series, did he?
No.
Mm-hmm. No. Oh, boy. Yeah. We had a lot of comics we knew who had failures as sitcoms.
Tom Rhodes.
Tom Rhodes. Tom Rhodes, this is a strange story. People don't, when we see Tom Rhodes, they don't even know who he is. How many of you out there listening to me right now know who Tom Rhodes is? Raise your hand. Nobody raised their hand.
Had a show called Mr. Rhodes.
Mr. Rhodes.
For one season.
Big failure.
Yeah.
So what did he do? He went to, I think, South Africa or somewhere like that.
He went to actually went to Europe, and he had a TV show in Holland.
Yes, that was it, in Holland, and he was a smash.
That's what I hear. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was a big smash, and he couldn't make it over here. That was I think he came back here and tried to make it and couldn't make it again.
Right. Yeah.
You know, do you ever meet up with him at any of the clubs or anything?
He
like that?
occasionally, once a year, he'll go through the Throckmorton.
Really?
Yeah.
But he doesn't have much of a career now, does he?
Well, like older comics, it's tough. So I think he still lives in L.A. But
Yeah. But anyway, Tom Rhodes. The other one was Kevin Meaney.
he also had a one-season sitcom.
It was an offshoot of the movie
Uncle Buck.
Uncle Buck, and he played Uncle Buck. And if I remember, it wasn't a bad show.
I never saw it. So.
But it only lasted one season. And every now and then when I'd want to give him a bad time on the show or whatever, I'd refer to him as Uncle Buck. You know. But Kevin Meaney, in the pantheon of people you've known that were funny, on a level of A to F, okay, what was Meaney?
Meaney would be A+.
I'd say the same thing. Meaney was so funny, ladies and gentlemen, and you may remember this, when he would do our show, he would go into a riff, and he did these riffs which were exhausting.
Go forever.
Go forever. You know, with Michael Snyder, I remember that was the classic one.
That was the funniest thing ever.
If I bring this up to Michael, he hates it. You know, and I still do movie reviews with him. Michael, in the middle of his interview or something, his review was a movie with Sean Connery.
Yeah, and he did a quick James Bond voice.
quick, really bad Sean Connery impression. And then he started to go on some more, and Meaney jumps in and goes, "Do Sean Connery again." And he goes, "No." He says, "Do it. Do it.
Do it again.
Do it. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again." Now, this is what Meaney did. He was relentless and kept saying, "Do it again. Do Sean Connery. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again." And he just kept going with the "do it again." Now, at a certain
It's like for
point,
20 minutes.
At a certain point, it starts to hurt, okay?
Yeah.
And then it starts to become hilarious. And then it gets to the point where you want him to stop because you're hurting so much from laughing. But it was a kind of humor that you had to be brave to do, because you had to be relentless. You had to believe in what you were doing, you know, and not give up on it. And by the time he was through with Snyder, I couldn't stop laughing. And to this day, the
whole studio was rocking. I remember that.
Yeah, if I remind people out there, okay, I mean, if I remind Snyder about that moment, he doesn't want to talk about it.
Really?
Oh, he just, I went, "That was a great moment in radio." He said, "No." He did not find it funny.
You have that on tape somewhere?
I do not have it anywhere.
Oh, man.
I should probably go through some tapes. I still have some tapes to get here, but I haven't. I don't remember when it happened, or it was a Friday. That much I know, because that's when we did our movie.
It was movie day, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Meanie was hilarious. But there's
Well, who else had a show that comics? That
well, we
know?
always talk about what's his name up in Sacramento,
Jack Gallagher.
Jack Gallagher. Jack Gallagher's, I think, the classic case of having a show. It never got on. He did a show. It's called, I guess, Here's Jack or something like that.
I thought it did get on. So.
No, it didn't. What happened was, and I've told this story before here, and if you've heard it before, go somewhere else and come back in a couple of minutes. ABC believed so much in this show that if you opened up TV Guide that week, it was on a Monday, I think, they had a big double-page ad in TV Guide. Now, that's a lot of money, okay? And they spent a fortune on advertising the show. They believed in it so much. And the TV Guide comes out on Friday, and I open it up, and there's this big double-page ad for Jack Gallagher's show. And then I go to watch the show on Monday, and there's no show. And I finally get a hold of Gallagher, and I say, what the hell happened? He said, well, this is what happened. He said, they believed in that show. They really believed in it. And then, and this is like something out of a Seinfeld episode. This was on a Friday. They had to put the ad in the week before, you know. So, but then they fired the head of programming at ABC. And a new head of programming took over. And I believe it was a woman, and she didn't like the show.
That is exactly what happened on Seinfeld.
Yeah, it's exactly what happened on Seinfeld. It might be that Larry David heard about this and decided to write it into his show. And he gets a call, and they say, we've decided we're not running the show. It's been canceled. And, you know, there's Jack. He's waiting for Monday to come. After Monday, he's going to be a household name, right?
That
was it.
That
was it. Yeah. You know, it never got on, as I remember it.
Okay.
Now, you know, why do you pay that much money to do a pilot? Why do you pay that much money to do a double-page ad in TV Guide without doing something about it? You know.
God.
And I said to Jack after he told me this story, I said, just tell me something. At what point did you want to blow your brains out? And he basically said, you know, Jack's a nice guy. He's he's a very for a comedian, he's level. He's not a weirdo. You know, and he just said to me, hey, that's television, you know. I wrote it off. And they went back to Sacramento, and I think he did a daytime talk show up there on TV. And he then wound up on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
He did a couple. He played a doctor.
Larry David's doctor. So, you know, he was and he's a great. You've worked with him lately, right?
Yeah. He was here.
Is he still good?
Oh, he's still great. Yeah.
Yeah, he just had this very kind of everyman look to him, you know, and he was just very funny, very funny. But there are all kinds of people I feel should have made it. I think if you had pushed yourself, you probably could have been a character actor in a sitcom.
That's all I wanted to do. Yeah,
and then you'd have to live all the rest of your life with some catchphrase.
Yeah.
Don't you have a catchphrase? Is it something like that? Or some noise?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, who else do we know that had a TV show? There was, do you remember Mitch Mullaney?
Well, I didn't know Mitch.
But he did your show a couple of times.
Did he really?
Yeah.
See, I don't remember some people. There are a lot of famous people. They went on later to become famous. One of the people on Friends, female, did my show in San Francisco when she was with some comedy group that was playing.
Aisha Tyler.
Huh? No, not Aisha Tyler was a regular on my show. Yeah.
She had like a recurring role in Friends, right?
And she had a recurring role on my show. I mean, she was on it, God, once every couple of weeks. And I found her very funny. I thought she was very
great,
good.
yeah.
Yeah. But she hasn't had a great career. She's had a career that kept going, but, it never became big. People know the name. That's about it, So, I'm trying to think, who else do we know that had a series that, I'll tell you what I did once. Slayton came to me, Bobby Slayton came to me and said, could you take all my tapes that I've got here of me doing stuff and make a reel for me? Because I had editing equipment, right? Mm-hmm. I said, sure, be happy to. So he hands me all these tapes. And there's some him doing stand-up and whatever. Finally, there's a tape in there. It's him as the Pink Panther. Did you know this about Bobby?
No, I never heard this.
They were going to do a TV show of the Pink Panther. Okay? And they were kind of going to do it with live people and this Pink Panther who lives with the live people. And they had to have a voice for the Pink Panther. And it was Bobby Slayton. And I got to tell you, if you don't think it works, I wish I had the tape here because it really worked.
Well, I would have guessed that wouldn't have worked at all.
His voice, that Brooklyn whatever voice that he's got, that rough voice, played perfectly as the Pink Panther. You wouldn't think so, but it was perfect. And the show never got on. They did the pilot, and that was it. Never made it. So there's another failure for Bobby Slayton. He also was on one other series that he was on with, who's the comedian that died from New York?
Richard Lewis.
Richard Lewis. And he played like the super in a
the doorman or something?
Yeah, in a building, yeah. But it only lasted a short time. It was Richard Lewis's failed series.
Was that the one with Jamie Lee Curtis?
I think so.
Yeah.
I believe you're right. I can't even remember what it was called. But it only lasted, I think, 6 episodes or something, and that was it. So, hey, there's 2 at once. We got Richard Lewis and, Bobby Slayton.
You also had Margaret Cho.
Margaret Cho had a series.
All-American Girl.
That's right. I forgot that.
1995.
Wow. You remember the title of it.
Yeah.
She was, and Margaret Cho was a very good comic, by the way. Really quite good. Do you like her act?
I liked her, yeah. I'm not huge on the act. But
I wasn't huge on the act. I liked her. She was fine. Yeah. But anyway, she did this thing called All-American Girl, and it just didn't work for her because they tried to scrub her up, and not make her as Asian as she is and so on. And she talks about that with great disdain, in any interviews I've heard with her since about it, that she didn't like what they tried to make her. So she spent the rest of her life being who she wanted to be, and she's had a fairly good career. Not great. I saw her in something recently where she was very good, So here we are, little Schadenfreude, talking about all the comedians who got series that never lasted.
Well, just getting that far is pretty amazing.
Yeah. Now, of course, next time you're on, we should talk about your failed series, Here's Bub. No, but you would have been good on a series. You would have been a good character actor.
Yeah, I think I could have been a character, yeah. I never wanted... All the comics I know, they all wanted to be as famous as Robin Williams, which I didn't want that at all. I always thought being a supporting character in a sitcom seemed
You want
like
to be famous on your own terms.
Yeah.
And for who you are and what you are. And, Robin Williams was a success. I mean, I didn't find Robin that funny, just between you and me. And people go, "Oh, you didn't find Robin Williams funny?" Only because I felt Robin was not on stage being a comic. He was on stage acting a comic. And then he would kind of look at you like, "Hey, you got to laugh at that." And people were laughing at stuff they didn't even understand because am I right?
Yeah, well, his energy was explosive.
Yes. Rumor had it that Letterman hated having him on the show.
Really?
Well, because he would come on the show and just take it over. And Letterman liked control. But he had him on the show nonetheless because he was good for business. But anyway, hey, listen, we got to go here. I just realized we just ran over.
Yeah, I wish you could think of some more comics we had on your show. That got
Well,
their
I'm
own
sure
series.
if we take time, we'll remember them, and then we
Yeah.
can have Schadenfreude.
We'll do it next time.
Yeah. Our Schadenfreude edition of Larry Bubbles Brown comes to an end. Thank you, Larry.
Thanks, Alex.
Okay, bye-bye.
Now, in its 11th year, this is GabNet. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. There's Larry Bubbles Brown. Well, here it is. It's Friday night, and usually we have tons of people waiting to come on, and nobody's waiting to come on. I'm getting a little tired of this. I'm thinking, I've threatened this before, but, the older I get, the more tired I get, and, I do this for the people who call, and since people don't call anymore, why should I do it? Okay? All right. Anyway, enough of my griping. There are two people here waiting, and at least quality people. Let me see here. Well, let's just do this. All right. Let's bring these people in here, and there they are. Why should I do it? And here comes Tom Yamaguchi.
Enough of my gripe.
Oh, and you see, the reason I've got a problem with the sound going here is because Jeff has his audio on, so let me turn Jeff's audio off, okay? I will mute Jeffrey, okay? And there we go. Okay. Hello. How are you? Oh, now I can unmute Jeff. Jeff, you better turn off your audio. Yeah, because you left it on and then you walked out of the room. Can you hear me, Jeff? No, he can't. Oh boy.
Well, Jeff is dealing with his audio. I'll tell you why I came on.
Mm-hmm.
I came to the conversation late while you were interviewing Bubbles or Larry Brown. Were you talking about that Kevin Meaney's do Sean Connery again? Were you talking about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the movie that they were talking about was, or that was being reviewed, was called First Night with Sean Connery.
Yeah.
And it was released in 1995. I was trying to get the exact date. My memory was it was in June, but according to Wikipedia, because IMDb used to have the release date. Now I can't find it, but Wikipedia says it was on July 7th. So if you look around June or July on a Friday of 1995, you should be able to find it.
Well, maybe I can and maybe I can't. It's a question of whether or not I have access to that tape, whether the tape's around. Now, you said that was 1995. 1995.
The film was called First Night, and so basically, what set it off was that Michael Snyder started doing an impression of Sean Connery, who was in the movie. He was doing an impression of Sean Connery in The Untouchables. Remember?
Yeah.
You can kill the ball. No. And from that was when Kevin Meaney says, "Oh, that was a good Sean Connery. Do it again."
Yeah.
And it just like,
And then do it again.
you
Do
know,
it again. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it
probably
again. Do
I
it
would
again.
say
Do it again. Do it. Do
I
it.
would say singularly the funniest moment on any of your shows in San Francisco. The funniest.
Yeah, and it's a shame if I've lost it. I don't know. I mean, I have to go.
I hope you find it.
I have had a lot of my tapes shipped to me, and I have them here. And I would have to look for that date. Okay. So you're figuring it's in July what? Maybe July?
It said July 7th. But my memory was it was in, around mid-June, but it could be July. It could be July 7th. It was obviously a Friday. Because
Yeah.
that's when
Well, I'll try to see if I can
that's
find
when
it.
Snyder would come in and do the movie reviews.
Yeah, so it would have to be a Friday, and it would be Friday in what, in June?
June or July.
June or July. I'm going to have to go look up that movie. I'll find it somewhere. I'll be able to
I
find
just
it.
remember the movie is called First Night.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate it. 1995. Let me hold on a second. Let me just write this down, because if I don't write this down, you know what happens to me, folks. 1995, and it would be what, in June?
June or July.
June or July? July. Okay, and the movie was First Night.
With Sean Connery.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And you're sure that was the movie that we're doing?
Oh, I know it was a movie.
Oh, okay. All right. Let me turn on this air conditioner here. It's getting a little hot in here. There we go. There we go. Okay. And bring that up. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I may be able to find it, I may not be able to find it. Not all my tapes were shipped out here. And I got most of them, but I got to get some more. I got to get the rest of them sent to me and finish it off so that I have them all in-house here. And I have them all in the closet in here, believe it or not. So years of mediocre shows in San Francisco, yeah.
And a few brilliant ones.
And a few brilliant ones like that one.
Yes.
Hello to our good friend, Mark Thorner. Nice of you to call, Mark. And how's everything down in Florida?
Fine. I want to add something about Kevin. Because of Sirius Radio and Jay's show, I got to know Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll send this to you. I did a birthday card. And it's based on his New York style cheesecake.
Mm-hmm.
Which I still think about. I think it's one of that and the Big Pants stuff. But it's literally like a print ad if it really existed. Meanie brand, New York style cheesecake.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, another one who's gone.
This was way before you discovered him, though.
Oh,
when
yeah.
when I had him on.
Oh, yeah.
And he would come on, and he would be so funny that I would have to ask him to stop doing whatever he was doing because my stomach was hurting.
Mm-hmm.
And I read a thing today. It was a trivia thing on Roku, and they asked in the movie, what was that movie? Oh God, the movie. A movie with Billy Crystal and I'm trying to remember the other guy who was in it. Anyway, Princess Bride.
Oh, okay.
And one of the actors in the film was injured by one of the actors. And finally, I got it wrong, and below it said the answer to it and a little factoid about it. And it said it was Billy Crystal that injured this guy. And the reason he injured this guy is he was laughing so hard at something that Crystal was doing that he broke a rib.
Oh.
So all I could think about at that moment was Kevin Meaney and the fact that once I had to ask him, please, Kevin, stop. Just stop. because, I mean, it was hurting. I was in pain. You know, I said, it's not that you're not good. It's just I'm in pain from your making me laugh. So, but he persisted. So, yeah, what can I say?
Nonetheless, he persisted.
Got hairs in my nose bothering me today. Anyway, how y'all doing? Good to see you all.
Sorry, I screwed you up at the beginning there.
Yeah, well, you know, don't leave the room and leave the sound on.
I know.
Yeah,
Duh.
yeah. And we have, of course, Tom Yamaguchi and the lovely, attractive Charlie Wallace, who once again is not at home. You slut. Boy, it sounds like you're having the time of your life.
Yes, sir. I am.
Do you beg for nights when there isn't coaching?
Yeah, actually, the only time I'm ever over at my place now is if I'm umpiring.
When you're umpiring. Yeah, yeah. So anyway, what was I going to say? Nothing much happened today in the news.
Except that the mayor of Newark got arrested.
Oh, I forgot about that. That's a good story.
Oh, nothing much happened in the news.
Well,
they arrested the mayor of New York. As far as I don't even know if they've released him.
Oh,
yet.
the mayor of New York was down kissing
Newark.
Donald Trump's. No, but the mayor of New York was in Washington today kissing Donald Trump's ass.
Okay.
Yeah, but the mayor of Newark went out to protest Vice. They have ICE.
They went ICE.
Yeah.
They went on an inspection. He went with 3 Congress people from New Jersey to inspect this detention center that they opened up that they didn't get the proper permits for, and they were violating local ordinances by opening up this detention center. And they said that they had to let the Congress people in because there was a law, but they said he couldn't go in. So he left. But they went out and arrested him anyway, even though he left.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen the video footage of it, but supposedly the video footage is pretty ugly. Yeah, it's like people tearing at each other and stuff like that. It's like,
wow.
My God, it's awful.
Well, I'm proud of the mayor of Newark.
Oh, yeah.
You know, for doing that. And did they let him out? I didn't hear anything about them letting him out.
I haven't heard anything. No.
Oh, well, you know, my hat's off to him.
Yeah.
It just gets crazier and crazier.
We're living in a fascist country now.
Yep.
We are in a fascist country.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I don't know that we haven't been for years, but that's just my opinion, you know. Because I've often felt, I often referred to this on the radio when I was doing political talk shows, that this was an illusionary democracy. You know, that we only think we're a democracy, but we're not really, you know, because we don't live it out. Because I said, you know, you want to go out and say something that people don't agree with, you're going to get arrested. Isn't that what happened today in Newark? Isn't that an illusion of democracy?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a democratic nation, yeah, where we arrest mayors of cities for going to say, hey, you don't have the proper licenses to open this place. You know? Terrible. Terrible. But that's just me. I've been, you know, I've had an attitude about this country for years, so. People go, well, it's America. What? If you don't like it, leave it. And I go, hey, I was born here. You know, I have a right to stay here, and I have a right to stay here and protest and to protect my country, right? You know, if I leave it, I'm being, I'm leaving it up to them to take it over, you know, so. You were having a little look there, Mark. Any thoughts about that?
Well, we're not having our pursuit of happiness.
Well, it's not pursuit; it's pursuit of happiness.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's like everything that is wrong, that is going wrong.
Hmm.
And the fact that there's like no common sense. Um, it's like going backwards. It's not, I used to joke, the joke, one step forward, two steps back.
Hmm.
It's now we're going miles. Like, yeah, it just, and I really was hoping that there would be more comedians, more of your pals speaking out about this. Because
I am surprised by how many people are acquiescing to Trump because they're in great fear of being prevented from doing what they're doing. I mean, the movie companies are kissing his ass, the tech companies are kissing his ass. And what they're doing is by doing this, they're giving up this country to him. You know, I mean, when I see, I mean, I don't want to use Amazon anymore, although I kind of have to. You know, but if there was anybody else I could use, I wouldn't use Amazon because I just don't like the way Bezos has just kissed Trump's ass. And of course, I hate Meta. That little weasel has like just completely gotten on his knees and started sucking away. And you can go to all these other people. I mean, Apple has kind of. He went to the inauguration, but I can't see how the head of Apple is Tim Cook is that endeared to Donald Trump because he's gay. And how can you be gay and be pro-Trump? I just don't understand that. Impossible.
Well, Commerce Secretary is gay too,
Who?
Commerce Secretary, isn't it? Bessent. Bessent is gay.
Who? What's his name?
Bessent.
Bessent?
Bessent.
I don't really know who you're talking about, but
The Secretary of Commerce.
the Secretary of Congress.
Commerce.
Commerce.
Enunciate.
Yeah, I can't pay attention to half these guys. And did you see who they just made the district attorney of Washington D.C.? Janine Pirro.
The one they call Judge Box of Wine.
Judge Box.
I think that's what Liz Winstead calls her, Judge Box of Wine.
No, she's amazing. Didn't she have some problems though? Also, where she got arrested or something for something. I'm trying to remember what it was. It goes back a while. But she's
works for Fox. That's a problem.
Well, she works for Fox, obviously. But you know what's great about all these people he's hiring from Fox? At least it's getting hard for Fox to find employees who'll stay around.
I could poach him from Newsmax.
But he's not really poaching the big guys. He's poaching the weekend people.
The second stringers.
The second stringers. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, but he went and poached a lot of them. I mean, if I were Fox, I'd give him a call and say, "Will you stop this?"
Probably has, and they haven't listened.
Yeah, right. No. They don't want him mad at them. So. Anyway, so I don't, Janine Pirro, that one really got me, What world is he living in? So anyway, I wish there were other stuff to talk about, but there isn't a lot. I mean, we got the Pope, but once you say the Pope is an American and we have a new Pope, that's pretty much the end of the story, isn't it, for now?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
There's more to find out.
He says something liberal, and then
Yeah.
As I said last night, I really want to learn more about Leo the 13th. Supposedly, he was like really radical. He wanted to reform capitalism. He wanted labor unions, and Yeah. So if this is a guy's following in those footsteps, I'm really optimistic.
Yeah,
Well,
that's what I'm
I'm
saying,
very
he was
optimistic. What were you going to say, Kevin?
he was continuing the St. Francis legacy kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but I think he can take it one step further. And the fact is, he's a young, much younger guy. Okay.
Yeah.
He has been brought up in an atmosphere where things are slightly more hip. You know, I mean, like he's a Red Sox fan, or is it White Sox? No, it's a Red Sox fan.
White Sox in Chicago.
White
Red
Sox,
in Boston.
yeah, White Sox fan. He seems to be, pretty hip to stuff. And so he's a little more contemporary, especially compared to the other Cardinals. I mean, come on, they all look old, and he kind of still was on the younger side. So, to have somebody that young kind of makes him hip, so. But anyway, so. Bree. Yeah. He by the way, here's Bree, and he's not out eating. Are you, or are you?
Yeah, I mean, I was. I got it takeaway.
Oh, I forgot. The shot wasn't right. Now I'm seeing the whole salad bar.
Yeah, you can see all the food. I'm waiting for my ride home.
You're waiting for your what?
See? Very delicious.
Right.
That looks pretty good. But you
Yeah.
know something? That looks like a salad bar anywhere, not in, not in.
If I showed you specific dishes. Yeah, I had to bring one of my cats over to the cat hotel because the other cat just got back from surgery and needs time alone.
Well, you know what's good about where do you live? You live in Bangkok, right?
Kuala Lumpur.
Kuala Lumpur. Where's Bangkok? Isn't it in here?
That's Thailand.
That's Thailand.
Yeah,
Okay.
the cat hotel.
Oh, that's the cat hotel, and right next to it, of course, where they cook the cats. If they, if you want
Not
that,
here.
huh?
No, not here. They don't do that here.
Oh, they don't eat animals there.
No, you're thinking Vietnam.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, now you're in the
morning.
car. What are you taking? Is that an Uber?
Yeah. Here they call it Grab. Grab.
Really?
There are a couple of services here, but we don't have Uber.
Oh, you don't have Uber. Okay.
Nope.
Yeah. I took a Lyft yesterday, and the price, it was $50 to go downtown.
Yeah. Would that have to do with the congestion pricing?
I don't think. Well, some of it has to do with the congestion pricing, but not all of it, because I found out from the Uber driver, or not the Uber driver, the Lyft driver I had the other day, that they only have to pay once when they go over the past, I think it's 69th Street or what. They only have to pay once a day.
Okay.
Okay, because
sense.
if let's say somebody lives on 70th Street, let's say he wants to take his car over 69th, and now he wants to go back again, and this will go back again. They just they don't allow that. They don't say you have to pay $7 every time you do it. You do it once a day, and you pay $7. So then you add that to all the cars that are being used, but so that isn't why the price has gone up. But I have no idea.
They have certain times of the day. If it's busy, they'll raise the price. If it's busy, or there's an event going on in your area or something, the prices will go up to a higher rate.
Uber used to do that, but I don't think Lyft ever did it. I mean, I never saw. I usually a Lyft to where my dentist
They all do
is.
it.
A
And
Lyft
if you're
to
going to the airport, you will pay higher.
really.
But that's not the toll on the road.
No, it doesn't have nothing to do with it.
Yeah. Well,
The drivers are responsible for that. They maintain that.
Bree?
That's what they do for me.
You've had cats, or you've had to babysit them. Did you ever have to take them to the vet?
Did I ever have to take a cat to a vet? Well, years ago when I had cats that, got sick and I had to take them to a vet, yeah.
Well, and how much? How much did it cost you?
Oh, back in those days, they were not expensive. Vets were the cheapest kind of medical person you could deal with. But I got to tell you, as time went on, the price went up and the price went up and the price went up. And I imagine today they charge you like they charge human beings.
Bad.
It is. Is it bad?
Well, you want to know?
Yeah, it cost me probably $300 to go take him over and get a couple blood tests done and some meds, and it's usually about $300
Wow.
for a 20-minute.
She had to get an MRI
Oh, there you go.
and post-op boarding. It was about $1,000 US.
Yeah, that's about what it would be here. Yeah.
Wow. Jeez almighty.
And then you try and buy cat insurance. It's worse than people insurance.
You can buy pet insurance, I know, but how much is it?
Ridiculously high.
What do you mean? Give me an example of ridiculously.
Okay, the last time I checked, we had 2 cats. I only wanted to insure one because he was sick, and it was going to cost about $65 a month.
Wow.
That's for a cat.
Yeah, but let me ask you this: let's say you have 2 cats, right? And you have insurance. Why don't you have insurance for one cat and they don't know which one you're bringing in?
That's what I was thinking.
That works one time.
They know because they got chips and all that other crap.
Well, they have chips too. Oh,
Yep.
I know.
They know how to identify them.
Now,
They
how
give
much?
them their birthday,
You want to hear a funny story, Alex?
birthday and social security.
What, Bree?
So they came to me and they said, okay, we got the liquid, out of her ear, and we found this tissue. Where do you want to send that for biopsy? And I said, sure, find out what med she needs to be on. It's only an extra $80. So they offered me 2 choices. They said, if you really want to know for sure, we got to send it to the pet special lab in Hong Kong, or we could send it to the human lab locally, but they're not as.
The human lab isn't as good as the animal lab.
That's right. That's exactly what they told me.
Okay.
But
That
the
doesn't
animal
make you
lab's in Hong
feel
Kong.
that doesn't make you feel very good, does it?
No, it doesn't. And she said, well, I said, why aren't they very good? She said, well, they're not always precise or exact. And I said, there are only 5 or 6, bacterial strains that this could be that are common. You're telling me that a human lab can't identify the 5 most common bacteria for cats? Like if they can do it for humans, they should be able to do it for cats. I said, send it to the human lab because we'll get the results back quicker too. So now, and then when I went there 2 days to pick her up, I'm like, so what's the tissue? Oh, the courier didn't come yet. I'm like, well, can't you just take it over? Oh, we have like 4 or 5 samples. We're waiting for the courier. So they're sitting there for 2 or 3 days with the tissue sample because the courier didn't come. I'm thinking, time is of the essence here. You got to know which meds to use. Anyway.
Wow. So you have pets too, Kevin. So I know that you go through that as well. Anybody here else have pets?
Yeah.
Until you get to have to put it to sleep. What's it cost you to put them to sleep there?
It's cheap.
Euthanize them.
Yeah, that's easy. Take them out back.
Take them out back.
Christy Gnome.
Yeah, Christy Gnome. Yeah, I was going to say do a Christy Gnome.
It's the only right thing to do.
Where's Cricket?
Huh?
Where's Cricket?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian. Brian. How you doing?
Doing okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's you apparently you're still at that Motel 6 or wherever you're staying.
Yeah, I'm gonna take this picture when I leave and send it to
Boy,
you.
is that the most grisly picture ever for a hotel room?
It's just a barn.
Yeah, but wait a minute. Where is this hotel?
San Jose.
San Jose. San Jose, metropolitan area, right?
Silicon Valley, in the middle of all these high-tech companies.
Yeah. Why is there a barn on the wall?
I don't know. I have no idea.
That's what was there before they put the hotel in.
Probably.
Orchard, yeah.
That was there 100 years ago.
Yeah, doing good. I got so the company I've been consulting with for the last month offered me a job, a permanent position there. So yeah, so I'm gonna take their offer, and that gets me a loan and gets me my house, the townhouse I've been trying to get for the last like 3 or 4 months. So it's still available. So yeah, so next week should be exciting.
So you leave your job, which you were at for 21 years, and all of a sudden, you can't buy a house?
Because I have no income.
Huh?
Gotta have income.
Even I tried to sneak in a loan before, like get pre-approved before I left my last company, and they say that's expiring income because they know I if they call HR, they say, oh, he's this expiring income. So yeah. Anyways, yeah, and then I have money coming in. I have money from my house selling. I have money coming in every 2 weeks from my old company, 20 weeks of severance package. And then I have consulting money coming in, and I still can't buy a house.
You still can't buy a house, but that's amazing because I'm sure. Do you have anything saved up?
Oh yeah.
So you've got assets. You've got assets.
Yeah, but you can't get a loan. Can't get a loan without permanent income. So.
But you know what they don't count here? Okay, that's fine. Oh, what?
It's ever since all that crap in 2008, the dot-coms were buying up everything and walking away from it.
Well, here's my point. Okay, so Brian is out of work, but now he's got a full-time job, and you're probably making some good money at that full-time job, right?
Yeah, now I will next week, right?
And so you will be able to get the loan.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Brian, you need to go to the Bank of Alex and apply there.
Okay, so let's say you borrow the money, you get the house, and all of a sudden you're not working anymore. Do they suddenly stop giving you the loan?
No.
No.
What happened to me?
So that's what the stupidity is of it all.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
That's what happened to me.
Really?
Yeah.
What happened?
The company that I was working for, had their own credit union. I went and got a refinance loan, and a month later I was out of work because they laid everybody off.
Okay, but they didn't stop the loan.
No, they just wait for you to default so they can repossess your house.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Or you keep making the payment.
Maybe you got a lot of money in the bank, or like Brian might have here, and then you can just keep making the payments anyway until you get another job. I just think that that's stupid. I found that I just by sitting around and not having a job, okay, but having a lot of money, a decent amount of money, my credit keeps going down.
Yeah.
And it keeps going down because I just, and I mean, every credit card I have has been paid off every month. Every kind of money I've ever owed was paid off. I don't owe any money, nothing. And all of a sudden I'm looking, and here comes the latest month of, I don't know what those companies are.
Yeah.
And
credit's credit's terrible. It's
but I mean, come on. Why does my credit suddenly go in the dumper? Because I'm an older guy? Oh, thank you very much. That's the answer.
There's definitely a sweet spot where they want you because I had one. I don't have many credit cards, and I had one, and I paid off $1,000 off it because I was going to get it down further. So it's $4,000 on the credit card, and all of a sudden my credit dropped like 30 or 40 points. My lender says no, it's impossible, but that's the only thing I did in that time, and then I went and then the next 4 weeks I used that card little by little and made sure that card was over about $5,000 that I owed on it, and then it jumped back up 40 points.
Well, what they tell me is if I will go out and get a credit card from one of these two bozos that send me this stuff every month and keep telling me that that my credit sucks or it's gone down or whatever. I stop this. How do I stop? Oh, well, it did stop on its own. Jeez almighty.
Calling in again? Jeez.
Huh? I don't know. I accidentally hit the button. I wasn't going to hit the button on that guy. Oh, well, let them ding me over at YouTube. I don't care. Excuse me, folks, that happens occasionally. These guys have a tendency to do this. And the thing was that I didn't even push the button. It somehow did it itself, yeah. But,
Great.
and I'm just too out of it that I can't remember how to turn it off fast enough, you know. So,
like the old cough button, you got to have the other button. Remember the old cough button and radio?
Yeah, well, actually, what I should have done is I should have just done this, and then we would have been fine. But I didn't do that, so you know, I'm an idiot. All right. So what can I say? Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed that little short subject we had there.
It didn't fit on my phone, so I'm glad I didn't see anything.
Oh, okay.
Too many screens.
All right. Well, maybe I just, you know what I might not do? I just might not post this show. That's what I want to do. And maybe over the weekend I'll take the video of it and edit it out. But I'm not going to do it tonight. I don't have time to do that anymore. You know, what are you laughing about, Mark?
Harley said it's...
What?
Why are these guys always black when they?
I'm like,
no, it's always the same video.
Yeah.
You know, they think they could come up with a better video. I mean, look at it.
I haven't seen that one before. Sorry.
You haven't seen that one before?
No.
Well, he was just peeing, right?
No, he was doing a lot more than that. He was doing singing and everything else through that. Never mind.
Yeah.
I don't need to go over it.
Well, let me see. You know what? I'll tell you what bothers me is we've got this thing called Zoom. And it's fine. It's a fine little system and everything else. But then when something like that happens and I complain about it, they say, well, you shouldn't openly list your address, your Zoom address. And I'm going, well, I got to let people know, you know. Isn't it your job as Zoom to figure out some way that we can find out who these people are by just reporting it, and then you go and follow the IP address and do a little work for me and solve the problem?
No, that would be
too much work.
That would be impossible, because people can just create new identities, create new accounts,
VPNs, everything else.
You know something?
I have to say, Alex, Zoom is correct. It's your responsibility.
No, it's not my responsibility.
It is your responsibility.
Well, then how am I supposed to let you know what my address is?
Well, do people have passwords? I mean, basically what you should have is a producer who can do this kind of work offline and put people on.
No, there wouldn't be a way to do that. Wouldn't be a way to do that with Zoom.
Yes, there is.
No, it wouldn't.
Yes, you have a person.
You can't do that separately.
You can do that separately.
No, you can't. I'm telling you.
There are lots of meetings where they have that.
No, meetings where they do what?
Government meetings
do it. Meetings are done like that.
Government meetings do it.
And then somebody moves you into the main room. And there is a Zoom host that works, and it's a lot of work. Believe me, it's a lot of work.
No, well, I don't have that kind of I don't have that kind of budget here. All I'm saying is,
I'm saying that's how it's done.
They should have some, or they should have some way I could go back and look at the IP address and do something about it. You know.
Yeah, they'll put them on. They'll make them think that they're on, so that they blow it and start early, and then all of a sudden the producer can say.
Yeah, but you see,
before it even gets to you.
No, but the problem is we're doing this, and I'm taking this off the screen that is Zoom and playing it through OBS and running it on that. Okay, that's the only reason I can take the picture off and put my face on. But anyway, the point and I didn't see that happening until I didn't even push the button. I don't know why it went. Let me put it that way. Anyway. You know, I mean, I could do everything I can to prevent it, but it's still going to happen, you know. And I just don't like the fact that I can't go somewhere and find out who this guy's IP address is. And if maybe I can't find it through the IP address, let it be my problem not being able to find it. But at least I don't even have that, you know. So I don't know. To say that Zoom shouldn't be responsible for it to a certain extent, I've seen ways that they could take care of that.
On
on their
Teams,
end.
on Teams meetings, they have a thing that sends you back the attendees, and it has a list of the attendees who've been on. But I don't think Zoom does that.
No.
Is that for people registered in advance?
That's a Microsoft. It's just people
Right,
who
I
log
know,
on.
but I mean, like people will register in advance, and then they have the attendees list.
Yeah,
That's what it does for our city council meetings and our board of supervisor meetings. That's how you do it. You have to register first, then they shoot you the link, and then you get in, and then from there, whatever happens.
Yeah.
That's how they filter people.
Yeah, so it's not open like this one.
Yeah.
There just should be some way I can filter it. I didn't recognize the person, but I didn't hit the button on it. Apparently, I accidentally did or something like that.
Or they found a way to get on.
No, I don't think so.
I wouldn't think so.
I think I accidentally
never
hit.
Say never.
The button comes up at the top of the Zoom, and it says, "Do you want to let the person in or not let them in?" And I don't think I let them in. In fact, I just let it sit there till the guy gets tired of sitting there. But I'm getting tired of it. I'm getting tired of it from the standpoint that I'm sitting here and I can't just blindly say to people, "Hey, give me a call." If I don't know who the person is, I don't know that it isn't one of these assholes. What they're doing is highly illegal, believe it or not, and actionable if I could find them. Actionable to me would be I'd wring their little necks.
Speaking of wringing people's necks, so when I sold the house in Lathrop, I had no house to go to. Right, I'm at a hotel, so I figured I'll have post office hold my mail for 30 days. So I filled out all the stuff. They gave me a confirmation number and the dates and emails and everything. So it was coming up on May 7th. So on May 7th, I called to make sure, yes, it's for pickup for me, not to send back to my house. And then I went up to the Stockton post office, because that's the main one where they hold all the mail, and they don't have my mail. Then I went to the Lathrop, the local one, and it's a small local one. So went there, and they don't have my mail. So the guy, when I left, he said, they probably just sent it to your house all this time. So all my mail went to my house that I sold, and it's got paychecks in there and tax checks in there, all this stuff. And the guys who are at the new house, my neighbor was a friend, so I called him and talked to him. He said, "Yeah, we haven't even seen those people. We don't think they've moved in. And they came a couple nights and had some parties, and that's it." And I'm like, "Oh my God!" So
either the box is full or it's sitting on the garage floor.
Exactly.
Where they deliver it. Yeah.
So it's a mess. So I want to ring post office next. They gave me a confirmation number that said that it's being done. And all this stuff, and then I go up there and say, "Oh no, it's not here." And I went there, went to Lathrop 2 times.
You will get nowhere with them.
Yeah.
Especially since they fired so many people.
Yeah, I mean, I misprinted a label for $12 that I was shipping out USPS, and I tried to get a refund for a month. Just give me the $12 back. That's all. I did it wrong. And I had another one that I had redone, and it said, "Oh, here's your confirmation number. Here, we'll get right back with you." Never heard a thing. Kept calling them back. "Oh, they're working on it. It might take a little while." Never saw it. I was trying to get my passport stuff back from Texas.
It's getting me a little PDO'd. Is that a word? This star you got to get on your driver's license.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I have a passport, so I'll just use that instead. But it really pisses me off that they make it difficult for you to get it, because I've got to go down. I got to make an appointment. Here, you have to make an appointment at the driver's license bureau, and then you got to go all the way down there, and you got to get the whole thing done, and it takes you half a day to do that, and so on and so forth. What is that? Real ID?
My appointment.
Your
I made
appointment?
an appointment a month and a half ago, and it's for Thursday, July 3rd.
Thursday, July 3rd.
God.
And I made it a month ago.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And now let me ask you this question. Do you have a passport?
Yeah.
Well, then why don't you just
I'm
use
going
that?
to use that.
Why don't you just use that? Yeah.
I am. I just don't like to carry the passport around.
Oh, well, I don't mind doing
Unless
that.
I have to.
You know, whenever I travel,
I'll get it.
Whenever
I just did. I pushed it off because they were, I was in the middle of getting rid of my Class A license, and they wanted me to do all these new tests to get through to get the new license, and I had to get my Class A medical done, and that's what was holding me up. And I kept pushing it off, and I couldn't get into. I wasn't going to pass the medical anyway because of my legs.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally just gave it up and said, okay, I guess I got to go to regular license and go through all the BS for the real ID.
Yeah, well, this real ID thing's been sitting around since 2005, and they haven't done anything about it. And about 3 years ago, I got a new license. Why didn't they give me one with a real ID on it?
Because you have to prove that you're you. You have to take a.
What do you mean?
Social
I have a
Security,
driver's
You got to
license.
take your passport. You got to take a bill. You got to take all kind of stuff down there.
Okay, but I also have that. What's that thing you get through TSA fast? What do they call it?
I've had all the TSA
Global
clearances through
travel.
Department of Homeland Security for hauling hazardous materials, for going into the ports,
Mhm.
going all that. Doesn't touch different system. They don't see it.
What, just something but a lousy gold star on your license?
We should go down to Staples and get some and just put them on there.
Yeah, put a gold star in there. Those morons at TSA would know the difference anyway, right?
I don't have a driver's license. Well, not a valid one.
You're never getting back in this country, dude.
Yeah, you might as well stay there.
Well, I always
Yeah, they always ask me when I come back. They're like, why have you been out so long? Because that's my job. I work.
Cartel.
Oh, you're out pretty long.
Just say cartel for
Well,
the
I travel I travel anywhere. I take a passport with me, So I'm not worried about that. And you can still get on a plane. It just takes you longer. That's all. They're not going to prevent you from getting on a plane. How about you? How about you? What?
There are only 2 countries in the world that charge their citizens tax when they live abroad. Guess which 2?
United States.
They charge you a
States is
tax
one.
for living abroad?
Well, that you must continue to pay your taxes.
Well, you must continue to pay your taxes, but what is it based on? The money you're making in Malaysia?
Yes.
Okay. Well, but is it considered American income or is it considered Malaysian income? And do you pay taxes
Both.
to Malaysia?
I do, yes.
Well, then you shouldn't have to pay taxes to the United States because that's double taxation.
But that's our law, not
when
theirs.
You become
Yes.
president, when you become president, please put that in the book.
Yeah.
But
That's our
we're
law.
one of only 2 countries. The other one is Eritrea.
Eritrea. Jeez.
Yeah.
They need all the money they can get, I guess.
Wow. Wow. Oh, well. Yeah. Yes, Jeff.
I did some work in Australia,
Mm-hmm.
but they wouldn't allow me to get money from then.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get a job there.
Mhm.
So I had to get paid in the United States.
Oh, I've heard that too.
And so effectively, I was not working there. I was not doing
Because
it
they wanted you to be a
business
citizen,
or
right?
anything.
They wanted you to be a citizen.
No, not really. They won't let you in. So
Yeah.
I know one lady, and she went there, and she got her degree to become a nurse. Guess what?
What?
She wouldn't let them take a job there. And you know they always need nurses everywhere these days.
Yeah.
Not Americans. But I don't think it was just Americans, but it's the way Australian keeps their own country.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I just don't understand why if you're working in another country, I mean, sure, I understand if you're working for an American company and you're getting paid on an American payroll, but you're in another country, that you have to pay taxes somewhere, and why not the United States? But if you're working in Malaysia for a Malaysian company, then why would you have to pay American taxes on that? Makes no sense.
I liked living in Dubai because there were no taxes there.
Really?
Yeah, no tax.
But didn't you have to pay the United States taxes on the money you were making in Dubai?
Yes, that is correct. Yes.
Okay. So in other words, what you're saying is screw the United States of America once again.
Were the American companies you were working for?
All I'm saying, I did. For many years, I worked for an American company online. But all I'm saying is when I come back, through the border, they shouldn't question me because it's like, I'm paying taxes, dude. Like,
Yeah.
Well,
but they always make me feel like, ashamed for staying out of the country so long.
yeah, well, I just, I don't know that we get our money's worth anyway, especially now. How many different services are not being given to the American public now? And how people get up in the morning and can look themselves in the mirror and say, I think I'm going to pass a law trying to make Social Security unavailable. How can you be that mean?
Well, one of the things now, Alex, that a lot of the people I talk to, they're kind of happy. They're like, aha, now your country is worse than ours. We always, and so a lot of them now look at the U.S. as a basket case.
It is. It is. You look frustrated by it, Mark.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I just was led to believe that the job of a country is to take care of its citizens. That if nothing else, you're supposed to do that.
Yep.
Does Trump wake up in the morning and say, today's a good day. How can I screw old people?
Forget that. Screw everybody.
How can I screw?
Your kid can't have $15. Your kid always have $2.
How can I screw 5-year-olds with cancer?
Yep.
Right?
Take away the NIH.
Yeah, take away the NIH. Yeah.
Yep.
How can I deport somebody with their 5-year-old kid who has cancer? That one was a good one.
And keep the cancer meds here in the country, not with the kid.
What?
They did not send his cancer medication with him.
Oh, they didn't send it. Yeah, right. He needs his cancer medication. Oh, God. Can you believe any of that? So anyway, welcome to the United States of whatever it is. I have no idea. But
you should go get one of them gold cards that Trump's selling.
Yeah.
And you can go everywhere.
Yeah.
It's only $5 million.
Jeez.
5 million. Here it's like 200,000.
What?
You had a Trump gold card with a counterfeit?
No, the gold card is $5 million.
Yeah.
And what does it do?
They have a
gives you a card with a picture of Trump to put in your wallet.
Is there any possibility
they have
of
a retirement.
Is there any possibility of getting that without? So who knows? Who knows? Oh well. Anyway, so what are you eating there? I thought you were eating when we started out, but I guess you weren't, huh?
No, I got takeaways to bring back for the family.
Now, what is that you're eating?
Well, this is YCS Mixed Rice Restaurant. So they have bihun, they have cereal prawn, they have tofu, they have fish cakes, they have like a potato dish. There's a bunch of different things.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Sweet and sour chicken.
Mm-hmm. So much longer are you going to be in that part of the world, or are you allowed to stay there indefinitely?
Well, I'm up for contract renewal this year, so hopefully another 2 years at least.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, I can't tell you.
So, but the country doesn't require you to have a visa?
Yeah, it's tied to the contract.
It's tied to the contract.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that happen over here, Brian? Because you know about this stuff, right? There was what was the visa they had for people that had a special skill?
H9B, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a couple times I thought they were, early, like in the .com era, and then now again, I thought a lot, a lot of those were going to be canceled and people moved out and stuff, and it seems like more and more people are here on those. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, they had the what's it called? The
H1B is
H1B. That's
Yeah.
it. The H1B, and this existed when I worked at the CNET Radio, for instance. We
Yeah.
always talked about them, and these are visas that companies get for employees who come from another country who they say have a unique skill and they need them specifically.
It's
Okay.
a work permit.
But
It
what
allows people to work for a specific company.
Yeah, but what I found was terrible about it is that they then became an indentured servant of this company, because if they suddenly lost their job, they had to go back to wherever they were from, and they brought their families over here and everything else. So now they have to take whatever that company's willing to pay them, and how they're willing to treat them and whatever. Otherwise, okay, well, you can just leave, but you're going to have to go back to Asia or wherever you're from. I thought it was a terrible thing, and nobody ever did anything about it. They never put specifics on. Huh?
They've reformed them. They were really abused. In fact, I know we don't have much time. Back in the 90s, I was working for a nonprofit, and we were in a building in downtown Berkeley.
Mm-hmm.
It was owned by an Indian guy named Reddy.
Mm-hmm.
And I would see, like, when we close up, all these women, their saris would come in and we're doing the janitorial work. It turns out he was importing these women from India on these H-1B visas, and basically he was making slaves out of them. And what happened was two girls who were a part of the family in an apartment house across the street died of asphyxiation. They had carbon monoxide poisoning from a heater. And that's when they found out that that one thing, they weren't in school. They were a block away from Berkeley High, but they weren't in school. And the Berkeley High's newspaper did an investigation and just blew this thing out of the water with this guy with his abusive practices.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a great story.
I always felt they were terrible, and that people were being taken advantage of, and they were at the behest of the companies, and they didn't want to pick up their families and move them back to wherever they came from.
Yeah.
So anyway, we found other things most of the time tonight, other things to talk about other than that orange orangutan. Hey, listen, Mark Thorner, you can't call us enough, okay? I love seeing your face there, Plus, over the years, your camera has gotten better and better and better and better. And Jeff, thank you so much for calling. Thank you, Tom. Always appreciated. Charlie, always appreciated. The presence of Kevin is without doubt a godsend for me, and of course Brian, always great to see you there. And
Cal T-shirt.
Yeah, where's
There we go.
Cal.
Where's the daughter tonight?
Yeah.
With the other person.
Oh, with the other person. Okay. Anyway, everybody give a big wave goodbye. Oh, and thanks to Bree as well. Everybody give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye at you. Let me see here. Let me just bring up my camera. There we go. All right. Anyway, next is what is the name of the program? Oh, yeah, it's The Intersection with Amy Manuel. And if you want to call her using Zoom, you can do that very easily by just going to the gabnet.net page. At the bottom of column 3, there are 2 names there. There's mine and there's Amy Manuel. You click on hers, and that'll take you right there by Zoom. I'll see you again on Monday with the pop-up show, and we'll see you again, of course, Wednesday. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye.